So Parm, now that Bangles are RICS chartered, a lot of our clients are asking, what does this actually mean for us?
What it really means is the credibility level. Obviously, being associated with a professional body gives them more protection. Effectively, we have compliance measures that we have to uphold being a member of the RICS. So when we look at what compliance we do internally versus what compliance we have to do being part of a regulatory body, it's a lot more. So although our standards as a business are high anyway, we have great systems and processes within what we do when we're QSing, estimating, PMing. When you're then tied to a body, it also means that you have to raise that level and ensure that you comply all the time. So it makes a real big difference, because a client can always assume that we have a level of compliance without being associated, but when you are associated, your level of compliance effectively has to go to a different level. So it really affects a client in a positive way, because they know when they hand a project over to us, we're looking at it with far more scrutiny than someone without it wouldn't necessarily do effectively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. And then what would you say sort of the differences between going with a company that is chartered through RICS and someone that's not?
The biggest difference is going to be that compliance piece again. When you look at, banks or insurers, or you look at legal, a lot of them will only ever look at working with a firm that is RICS regulated, and the reason for that is because it gives them the security. They don't really like working with people that are not, because they don't have that professional body behind them to be able to add that compliance level that's there. So it's more trust than it is anything else, because a client can trust that the work's getting done well, it's getting done within certain parameters, and the firm that they're dealing with is effectively credible to a different level. Not saying that firms that are not RICS are not credible, but our compliance means that we have a different level of credibility.
Yeah, and then of course now that we are chartered, it might open a few different avenues in terms of type of projects, what clients that we're working with, and just generally outreach to everyone might increase. What sort of different avenues do you think we're now able to go down, and how are we going to help benefit clients even more?
I think the biggest thing is, again, being able to work with insurers, being able to work with banks, being able to work with legal departments on disputes. Obviously, any of that work, really, them sort of bodies only want to work with clients, the clients will only want to work with QSs like ourselves that are regulated. So when you look at bank monitoring work, release of funds, to be RICS regulated is what they're looking for. A large tier 1, tier 2 bank isn't necessarily going to work with an unregulated firm. Same with disputes. Obviously, there's lots of disputes in construction, unfortunately, and they can only really be solved by people that are regulated and firms that are regulated. So when you look at the legal system, adjudication, mediation, arbitration, most them firms are regulated by the RICS. So it means that you can tap into a wider market, and it means that the clients that are looking for them types of services can come and use us effectively.
Okay, yeah, great. And then definitely with the type of clients you mentioned there, what sort of extra value outside of the difference between if we wasn't chartered, are they now looking to gain extra from us?
In terms of the service, we have compliance checks within our business anyway. So when we're doing cross-checking of the jobs, we do that as a standard. But when we're then looking at PI cover and bits like that, we've got to make sure we're up to a certain level, and we have to meet them criteria. So effectively, our client gets security to ensure that the firm that they're working with are insured well, they've got the right compliance in place, they've got the right documentation in place, the right contracts, the right terms and conditions, and we do everything the right way as we should, and as any firm should be doing.
Yeah, I think sort of the level of package we've seen come through sort of that's different, and there might be some more bespoke templates or more bespoke sets of services that we're offering out for clients now, that not everything needs to be done in the same way. There might be different sort of situations or clauses or regulation that they need to meet. all of which that we're able to sort of comply with. That's now sort of widening our outreach and allowing us to work on a greater level of project.
Yeah, I think it's that level of security that a client gets. When you're looking at larger clients and clients that are commercially savvy, they all want to work with a chartered QS because it becomes less about the money. A QS is there to protect you from risk. People look at a QS and go, well, it's all about the money. Yes, it is about the money, but our job is to protect our client against risk, no matter what side of the fence you work on, whether it's the contractor side or whether it's the client side. Our job is to protect our client from risk. And when you have more compliance, you live up to being able to deliver risk aversion to a higher level, which is effectively what we are able to do.
Yeah, I think definitely, it's like you said there, the important bit is it's not always about cost. Most importantly, you need to be compliant and you need to be running sort of smoothly and on schedule. And in a lot of cases, especially on some of these projects that we're looking at, it's more important to deliver on time due to sort of the deadlines involved with and the wider picture, rather than it being purely budget driven, which is also important to keep in mind.
Yeah, I think budget's always a big one for all clients, but ultimately risk is also just as important. So they need to know that the QS firm that they're working with, or the PM, CA that they're working with, understands risk. And if they know that their QS PM understands risk, then they can feel safe that this person or this firm are going to protect us against risk. It's a bit like when you appoint a solicitor or someone legal, you want to ensure that that person is going to do the best on your behalf, and ensure that they're protecting the risk from you, which is effectively what we do in a lot of cases, is protecting them from risk of delay, risk of cost overrun, risk of quality issues. That's what we're protecting them against.
Yeah, and I think having that RICS stamp, again chartered against sort of the company name, really brings that trust aspect into the clients. They know that they feel in safe hands and all of these things are getting taken into account, and it's making sure that they're in the best possible position for their project.
I think it's just that stamp. It's global recognition.
Yeah.
You know, our business, majority of it operates within the UK, but we do have clients abroad, and having that stamp enables us as a business also to service clients from abroad. This week alone, we've worked on an international project.
Yep.
And these sort of things don't come about without the recognition of the wider RICS branding as such. And again, because of that compliance, we can outreach to people that are working in different countries, and we are looking to go global.
Yep.
And with that, it definitely helps.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the global recognition is definitely an important part, and it's something that we're sort of proud to have now by the business.
Absolutely.